Everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. Today's video is going to be a full face of one brand. I love doing these. I think it's such a good way to test products to the full and just test the full range of them. Today's brand that I'm working with is illamasqua. They're a brand that I absolutely adore. I did a shoot with them maybe like 3 years ago now actually, and yeah, I absolutely love them. They're a brand that I adore. Really excited for this. I've also got a little bit of a cold today, so if I sound crazy, that's why. I'm being really brave about it, so. Couple of things before we get into makeup. I have got a code for you to use. illamasqua very kindly given me a code. I'll leave on here and it will all be in the description box down below. Couple of little things to note about the code. There are a couple of exclusions which I thought I'd add. The code excludes bundles, the new eye paint and the Amy range. Other than that, you're good, so enjoy. I'll leave all the detailed T's and C's in the description so you can read those. It starts on the 22nd of September, day before my birthday, and finishes on the 1st of October. Use the code as well, you will receive a free sample of the Hydrovale Primer. This is one of like the cult products from illamasqua, so yeah, really cool way to try things. So I'm going to actually start out with that today, so I'm going to zoom you in and get going on my skin. So taking the Hydrovale Primer, this is like a really cool product. If you haven't used this before, it's so fun. It's just really jelly, it's like a clear kind of gel, obviously really good for like smoothing skin, creating a really nice flat even base for makeup to go on top of. I'm just going to take that and start working it into my skin. It's a gel formula but in a really hydrating way, so it doesn't feel like you've got anything really thick on your skin, but it just kind of evens everything out. It just gives like a nice base to layer products on top of. Makes your skin feel kind of like tacky and ready for products to stick on top of. So just applied like one thin layer of that and now my skin is ready to go. To conceal underneath my eyes, I'm going to take the Skin Based Concealer Pen. This is the shade L2. That underneath my eyes and then anywhere else that I want a little bit more coverage. I don't think I'm actually going to do foundation today, so I'm going to use this to spot correct and just kind of even everything out. I want to go for a little bit more of like a kind of natural skin look. I really like the applicator of this because of the angle. It's really easy to just get like right in there. And any little blemishes or areas that get a bit more red. Just taking a foundation brush, I'm going to start buffing that in. I'm going to leave underneath my eyes until last just to give the product the longest to kind of like sit. That's the best way to get the fullest coverage out of a concealer. And then actually just using my finger, I'm going to pat in the product directly underneath my eyes. That inner corner, that's where I tend to get the most darkness, is sort of just underneath my brow bone. So I'm going to get a nice amount of coverage there. And then just whatever's left on my finger, I'm going to just run across my eyelids. Love this concealer. I feel like it gives a really natural, still very skin-like finish, but just a slightly more polished version, so it's perfect for the kind of skin look that I really love. It's pretty buildable as well. It doesn't really feel like I've got anything on my skin, so I feel like doing another layer wouldn't feel thick at all. Taking the Skin Based Pressed Powder, this is the shade Light 2. I'm just going to set underneath my eyes and anywhere else that I feel like my skin's going to get a little bit oily. And then just setting my T-zone. Just to start warming up my skin, adding a little bit of definition and colour back, I'm going to take the Spectacular Face Palette. I'm obsessed with this, look how cute it is. I've got a bronze, blush and highlight. I'm really into this kind of shade of blush at the moment. I normally go for like a really peachy blush, but I feel like now my hair's dark, I can kind of play with different blushes a little bit. So I did use like a more pinky blush the other day and I actually loved it. So I'm going to do that today. It's a little bit different, but start out by bronzing. Just using a big old bronzer brush. I'm going to start warming my skin up. I feel like bronzer and blush is just like my favourite part of makeup. Just like when your skin starts to kind of look alive again. And then just running a little bit of that down the sides of my nose and just across the bridge of it, just to give that nice kind of sun-kissed look. And then just a little bit around my temples and my forehead, even though my fringe will be over it. I love the tone of that bronzer. I think it just gives like a really natural, very sun-kissed look of extra bronze today. You know, when you're a bit ill and you just look grey. Like, just feel like a Victorian child right now, so need all the warmth that we can get. Much better, a little bit of life going on. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the blush. These are very pigmented, so I'm just going to take a little bit first and then build it up. I'm going to pop that quite high up. I like to do my blush a little bit more towards my cheekbones rather than the apples of my cheeks. I just think it kind of pulls everything up a bit. But I really love that like pinky look. I feel like it just gives that really like soft flushed kind of vibe. Bring that up, and then I'm gonna run a bit of that across my nose as well. It's so easy to get in a rut of using the same colours and the same tones every day, and I always find that when I get my makeup done by somebody else, they don't immediately go for those tones. So I think it is just habit of getting so comfortable in what we do. So it's actually quite fun sometimes to just kind of play around with a different colour. I feel like this pinky tone just makes my face look completely different to when I use the more peachy tone blushes. So I just think it's such like simple little things that just change your makeup completely. It gives me that like flushed look, you know, when you've been outside and it's really cold and then you come back in and your skin's just got that like amazing natural flush. It kind of looks like that. Okay, and then almost done for skin. I'm just going to take the cream highlight in the shade Aurora, pop a little bit of that on the high points of my face. I always like to highlight my nose a little bit. I think it looks really cute. I like the consistency of this cream highlight. It's not like too wet, so it doesn't move anything underneath. A nice little kind of subtle amount of light to your face. I'm going to pop my little freckles back in quick, and then we're done for skin. I'm really loving this like very undone skin at the moment. I think I used to go for like a full coverage skin base every day, and now I just really enjoy kind of stripping it back a little bit. I do still love like full glam, but this is what I've kind of like really fallen in love with recently, so yeah, love that. Okay, skin is done, so I'm going to zoom you in and get going on my eyes. A brand new product for eyes today. Really excited to use these. These are the brand new illamasqua eye paints. A really cool range of colours. Some really deep warm autumnal kind of browns. Got this beautiful teal, rosy pinks, purples, really nice range. So I think I want to do like a kind of warm autumnal kind of vibe with it. I had a little play with them this morning, and I feel like these two shades were like really speaking to me. The weather's gone a bit colder. I'm feeling kind of like autumnal. I'm going to use like a mixture of these two and kind of just see where we go. I obviously love like a kind of smoky, grungy eye, so I feel like we'll probably go for that kind of vibe, but just with a nice amount of warmth. I feel like all the like smoky eyes I do tend to be like cool toned or black, so it's actually really nice to do something with a little bit more warmth. So I'm actually going to start out with the lightest shade. This is Chai Custard, and I'm going to use this as like an eye base just to prep my lids. Just got a nice little small applicator, and I'm just going to run a little bit of that across my lid, and then just taking my finger, I'm going to pat that in. For an eyeshadow, they're very full coverage, like that's kind of worked like a concealer, and like a really flat base kind of covered any like veins or discoloration. Kind of brightened everything up, just giving a really nice flat even base. So just taking the deepest brown eye paint. This is the shade Caffeine Fix. I love that name, I think that's so cute. I'm just going to run this across my lid. I think I'm just going to try and blend it out with my finger and kind of see what happens, but I'm just going to pop that across the lid, just kind of keeping it just underneath the crease. I don't want to go too high with it. I'm not going to worry too much, I'm just going to get it on. Taking a little flat brush, I'm just going to start really lightly buffing the edges. And just taking my finger, I'm going to really lightly kind of buff the edges up. These blend really nicely. Actually really easy to do with your finger. I think I slightly prefer doing it with my finger than a brush. And I'm just going to go back and forth and keep kind of adding a little bit more, blending it. So I'm going to keep that a little bit more concentrated on the lid this time. I'm going to really lightly kind of wing it. When I get to the outer corner, I've just applied a little bit more product, and I'm just going to use a really soft buffing brush just to get a bit of definition around that wing. I think I want to do quite like a full-on wing. The consistency of these, it's like dried down matte, but it doesn't look dry. It just looks like a really soft shadow. Now I just want to add a tiny little bit of warmth there, and I just want to play around with more of the colours basically. Take the slightly warmer shade, this is Ginger Mocha. And I'm actually going to pop a bit of this on the back of my hand and then use it straight from a brush, just because I don't want such like intense pigment with it. I just want it to give a little bit more of like a warmth. Taking another little fluffy brush, I'm going to kind of really lightly run that just above the crease. Just add a little bit more warmth. I feel like with green eyes it really makes your eyes pop as well. And then I'm just going to go in once more just with that deeper shade, just to darken the bottom up a little bit. To do underneath as well, I'll just leave it on the top. Who knows? Right, I'm going to do the other one and then we can decide. And I'm just going to clean up that line just to make it very dramatic. Nice. You can do the same on the other eye. I feel like once you've done one, the other eye is so much easier to do because you kind of know what you're doing. Kind of figuring out what I really wanted to do on the other side, so it's always a bit easier on the other eye. I love this colour. Even this on its own is just so beautiful. I love that like really rich chocolatey brown. I really love working with illamasqua because I remember them being one of the first brands that I really loved when I was first getting into makeup. And yeah, at the time they were like the only kind of more like edgy, sort of like grungier makeup brand. I always used to see their little bit in Selfridges, and like all the people that worked there were always so cool, and like they're very tattooed. Always had that like really cool vibe about it, and I loved that. I remember actually doing the shoot with illamasqua, I was actually so nervous because I was like, oh, this is a brand that like I really love. illamasqua were always kind of pushing the boundaries and always doing really out there makeup and just kind of like no rules sort of makeup, which obviously I absolutely love. I feel like these kind of looks are what I fell in love with makeup, so I always really enjoy doing them. It feels like very kind of back to my roots of makeup. I feel like this sort of transitional time of year is quite a fun time to kind of play around with things a little bit. I love summery makeup and that more sort of natural sun-kissed vibe, and I still love that skin, but I feel like in sort of fall, winter, you can really just like go all out with the eyes and like nice smoky rich browns. I love. Eyes are all done. I'm obsessed with that. It's so like warm and smoky and just beautiful. Take a little bit of that Caffeine Fix brown, and on just a little brush I'm going to take a bit of it off the back of my hand, and I'm going to just lightly, quite close to the bottom lash line, I want to keep it quite tight. Yeah, I feel like it's quite a dramatic look now, so I feel like we might as well go for it at this point. I'm just going to put some mascara on my top and bottom lashes with the Infinite Mascara. A really long tapered brush, so really good for getting like right in the inner corners, so just going to pop that on. And I kind of push my lashes towards the outer corner when I apply mascara, just to keep that really nice sort of cat eye shape. With my bottom lashes, I'm just going to do some like little chunky bottom lashes. I feel like I've just got really like snotty eyes right now, you know, at least they're not too watery. That would be catastrophic right now. So with my eyes, I'm just going to take a little bit of that cream highlight again, and I'm going to pop that on the inner corner. Very dramatic, but still really wearable, which I love. So I'm just going to pop a little bit more blush on. I always feel like at the end I can kind of see how everything looks together. Intensify that a little bit. I didn't really know what I was going to do with the eyes, and then it always ends up being way more dramatic than imagined. So buildable, that blush as well. I always love with illamasqua products. They are really, really highly pigmented. Kind of give me almost like sort of stage makeup vibes. That like really high performing, long lasting, very high pigmented. I feel like that's kind of tied everything in together. Am I like a pink blush girl now? Amazing. Right, I'm gonna put my fringe down, try and sort that out. That fringe is just so temperamental. So makeup's gone well. I feel like if the hair did as well, it would just be a bit too good. So a little bit of my fringe just always curls, and I think it looks so cute. So I just got to do my lips and then we're all done. So I'm going to zoom you out a little bit. So for lips, I'm going to do a kind of pinky nude just to tie everything in together. I'm just going to line my lips first with the shade Woo. It's like a really nice dusky kind of nudie pink. And then I'm just going to run that across my lips a little. And I normally just kind of lightly pat that in. I've also got a spot here that I'm going to turn into a beauty mark because it's really bothering me. So I'm just going to go over that and turn it into a little frothing. If you want to be there so much, just be there properly, you know. And then just to finish everything off, I'm going to pop a little bit of the clear gloss. This is the Loaded Lip Polish in the shade Glaze. This is just like the clear one. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of that over my lips. Yeah, there we go. That is the finished look. I'll zoom you in a little bit just so you can see how everything looks together. I love this look. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I feel like this is why I enjoy using a full range of one brand's products, because you get this really like, you just get like a really true representation of the brand. Like to me, this feels like a very illamasqua-esque kind of look. And I absolutely love it. So yeah, very grungy, still wearable, perfect for this kind of time of year. Skin, it's really, really fresh, and I think paired with like a kind of more dramatic eye, is really cool. So yeah, I absolutely love this look. Thank you so much for watching this, and thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed listening to my little snotty rambling. As I mentioned earlier, I have got a code for you to use. I'll leave it on the screen here, and everything that you need will be in the description box, as well as all the products that I've used. And a massive thank you to illamasqua for working with me on today's video. I absolutely adore you, and this was so much fun. Thank you so much for watching this, and thank you for being here as always. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and I will see you very soon. Love you.